thank you.
Off 2, roger.
631 anchor to post, descend maintain 3 down.
Descend maintain 3000, 8231.
Flight 215, contact.
Looks like we're live, everybody. Hello. Good afternoon. It's exciting to see everybody here already. Looks like we have almost 70 people joining us already on this rainy afternoon, but hopefully it'll be a fun afternoon still. So I am Flyboy 12. We have Kathy here, and we also have Judd with us today. Judd will be our camera operator for the event, whatever part of the event we can see, and show us all these great sights. So glad to have everybody along.
05 Pop Alpha, contact.
And you'll notice in the background this year we've added ATC so we can hear as planes check in and contact for the various clearances to come to the flyby. We'll be able to hear that.
Flight 124, contact departure. Report departure, good day, flight 124.
Flight 156, contact anchor center 1190.7, good day.
Alaska 268, flight in 1 enter 0, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff.
Right. Well, on a note of the weather, we're not entirely sure what the day will bring. We've not heard any updates from the museum, so we're assuming it is all things forward as normal, or as planned, I guess I should say. We know that they have the band there and ready to go. We saw them a little while ago. But we'll see what airplanes are able to come by today. Probably some of the smaller ones are not going to be able to come because of the weather conditions, but we'll see who does come by and what kind of show they put on for us.
Catherine in chat asked, do they still put pigs on the island?
They don't. They use mowers now, weed eaters, and they go out there. They've got a crew of people that go out in a little yellow boat called Pac-Man that the front end opens. It's got a little bridge that tips down, and they drive their tractors out onto the island and mow it, care for it, haul it all back away.
Actually, you know what? If you don't mind me jumping in on this,
Yeah,
I believe that the pigs were there to eat duck eggs.
Oh, really?
From nesting ducks.
That makes sense.
And so I think, if I remember correctly, it was an attempt at wildlife control and cutting down the number of ducks.
Yeah, there are a large number of ducks around the lake. Although one thing I've not noticed as much in the last couple of years is Wildlife One coming by to scare them off.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about anybody else. I just haven't noticed them as much.
I'm not sure how many years they did the hogs. I don't know if that was maybe even possibly just one season or 2 seasons. I don't know, and I also don't remember how long ago that was. But it's certainly an interesting interesting part of the history.
For sure. Maybe Little Miss Lakers can track down some local information on that for us at some point.
Well, let me see what I can do here.
Bummer, it's so gloomy.
It is.
You know, it's probably our prettiest ham.
Signal 1502, anchor approach, clear direct card, send maintain 5000, and expect runway 15.
Okay, down to 5000, direct card, 1502.
You know, it just occurred to me that I should probably open up the YouTube channel for this live event, because that will allow me to type in the comments section.
Yes.
25 right, line up 2000.
You actually can type in directly in StreamYard, Judd, but I'm noticing there's a bit of a lag.
There it is.
Romeo, Kilo Echo, hold short.
Interesting.
Yeah, just to open up the comments in the upper right.
Oh, okay.
Clarence, good morning. Linden 408 is IFR to McGrath.
Huh. Interesting.
Anchorage ground, Sky 248, 64, Romeo 9, ready for taxi.
Skyq 4864 heavy, runway 25 right, taxi via Echo Kilo.
25 right via Echo Kilo, Sky 4864.
Turn right heading 120, intercept runway 15, localizer, descend and maintain 2000.
Maintain 2000, intercept 15, locate 31. So we have India.
Yeah, the delay of the chat in here, it's only a couple seconds, nothing substantial.
No, not bad at all. Here's a weather map for everybody, kind of give you an idea of what's going on as far as the weather's concerned. So we've got rain over a large portion of this area, and I'm no meteorologist by any means, but green means rain on the radar. So we've got some rain moving in. Don't see too much heavy. There's a little bit of heavy spots down this way, but not too much. Got a temperature of 55 degrees Fahrenheit and about 4 knots of wind. So it's kind of a calm day in regards to the wind, but overall the rain is going to be the factor for how the show will go and what planes are able to come and that sort of thing throughout the day. Judd, do you mind to share a little bit about the differences between VFR and IFR and what that means for pilots on a day like today and whether they're able to fly or not able to fly and that sort of thing?
Okay. Gee, they didn't tell me there was going to be a quiz. You'll hear on this channel a lot of comments on IFR and VFR. And gosh, I'm trying to think. It's kind of a confusing area to explain. So maybe I'll try the simple overview. And that is VFR means, well, okay, let me back up a little bit. Obviously, there are rules for pilots for flying, just like there are rules for people driving a car, right? The interesting thing about flying is there are two completely different sets of rules that are in existence, which require pilots to do different things. In simplified terms, the pilot can determine which of those sets of rules they wish to conduct the flight under. So I can see right now eyes are glazing over. Huh, interesting. I didn't realize I could see the chatters from here, but I can see everybody's eyes glazing over. So let me try to simplify it even more. When the weather is really cloudy or low visibility, low ceilings, etc., the only way you can fly is if you are IFR qualified to fly on instruments. That also requires special airports that can accommodate that, of which Lake Hood is not one, but Anchorage International is. Pilot has to be qualified, and anyway, there's some other.
And the plane has to be qualified too, correct?
Plane has to be, yes, exactly. Plane has to be qualified. Airport has to be qualified. Pilot has to be qualified, and it's actually a pretty involved rating to get that.
Yeah.
But and You can tell me when to
Put you on the
stop.
spot here.
But yeah, you can
So
tell me
I
when to
guess-
stop. So I'll keep on going. But
Let's pause there for a second. I guess the point I was just hoping to make was some of these smaller planes aren't going to be equipped with pilots or even the planes themselves to fly in conditions like this, correct?
yes, that's correct. And in fact, they probably won't be able to land at their destinations in many cases. Well, for Lake Hood, probably most cases.
Right.
You know, even if they could take off here, IFR from Anchorage, you know, they can't land at their tiny little lake that they're going to.
Right. Yeah. So we've got quite a list of large commercial planes coming later on in the day. And we may still see some of them come through because typically those larger commercial planes are IFR equipped, both with their pilots and the aircraft itself. On your way to getting a commercial pilot's license, you typically achieve your instrument flight rating, in which case you're now an instrument rated pilot. As long as your aircraft is also instrument rated, you can fly in various conditions, with the caveats that Judd was talking about earlier as far as airports and all those things. So all that to say, some of these bigger ones later on today may still be coming, but some of the smaller ones that are mixed in throughout the day may not be able to come. For example, we had a biplane scheduled to come through today, and he may not be looking forward to being soaked by the time he arrives at Anchorage.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you there.
Yeah?
Because there is no there's no IFR procedure for doing a low pass at Lake Hood. So it's
Gotcha.
impossible. It can't be done legally.
I see. There we go. Now we've got it.
And in fact, if the conditions were marginal, I would say it's more likely we would have a small plane than a big one, because for a big plane to be flying in marginal conditions would be much more difficult than for a small plane to be flying in marginal conditions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For something like this. Now, if they're doing a published approach to the airport, which is a predefined approach for landing and taking off, then of course they're fine. They land at Anchorage all the time in fog and low ceilings and stuff, but that's only because they're following a specific predefined procedure
Flight pattern.
that's been defined.
Yeah. I see Catherine is giving a little bit more information on the pigs here. Let me put that up. I put the pigs on the island in 2009 after having several planes hitting migrating birds, which seems to align with your comment about eating the duck's eggs, Judd. That seems to make sense.
Thanks, Catherine. Actually, I appreciate your jumping in with that.
It's fun information. Well, let me tell everyone a little bit about what we're doing here today. For those who don't know, today is the Alaska Aviation Flyby Festival, and the whole goal of the day is to raise awareness and be a fundraiser for the museum here that helps make all of this possible. So our camera, the Lake Hood camera, is mounted on one of their buildings, and they are that location host for us. So they host this flyby, this air show, if you will, annually to help bring people to the museum, to the property, and help everybody learn a little bit more about some of the things that they do throughout the year, some of the events and different things like that they put on, as well as just creating a fun space for everybody to come and hang out for the afternoon. Aside from rainy days like today, although I suppose it could still be fun even in the rain. But if you would like to be a part of supporting the museum, you can donate to them you can either go to the link there on the left side of your screen, or you can use your mobile device to scan that QR on the right side, and you'll be able to go to their website and make a donation directly to them to help support them and what they're doing. We'll show you some content a little later on, some of the projects that they have going on as far as restoring aircraft and new displays and things like that they've got, and that they want to do as well. So if you would like to help support that and see that grow, go ahead and donate to them and show them a little appreciation for everything that they do. I've got some information here on the day's schedule that I'll pull up for everyone. So doors open today at 10 a.m. Alaska time, and people can come in and kind of find the spot to sit and start to enjoy the show. And then they can also take part in face painting, food trucks, live music they've got there in the restoration hangar. And they have a beer and wine garden for people to enjoy. And I believe the restoration hangar is open for people to see a couple of the projects that they're working on now, kind of see some of the things that they're doing for the future. But that's kind of a rundown of the day. Most of the flybys won't start for a little while. They'll start closer to 11:30, if they're still able to fly, that is. The first one that we've got scheduled is 11:30, so we'll see how it goes and who we see.
Anchorage Tower, good morning, London 408, come out of South Airport, Juliet.
4,000 on a heading of 190.
It's fun to hear the ATC in the background, that is for sure.
Cross 25 left at Echo, hold short 25 right, London 408.
Last 101, channeling position, traffic pass 10.
Hold position, last 10.
London 408, traffic holding position 25 right, cross 25 right at Echo.
Cross 25 right at Echo, Linden 408. We've got the traffic holding. Taxi 4864, flight maintain flight level 200, speed is your discretion.
Flight maintain flight level 200, speed discretion, Skyq 4864.
Airplane 144, what's the heading you fly?
25 right, full length, via kilo.
25 right, via kilo, Linden 408. Say 144,
I suppose the typically the Goose takes off and he flies some demonstration flights around, some pattern flights, and then he usually comes and lands right there at the ramp by the base of this tower that we're mounted on. I suppose he could taxi across and just pull up in. But we'll see what they do.
Over 840, pass behind the stop, exiting at Mike, continue taxi.
Alaska 101, fighting 210, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 25 right, heading 210, Alaska 101.
Signal 1502, make a left turn at kilo, taxi to approach 8 kilo, to monitor ground.
Perfect, go to that stop, exiting kilo, again, continue taxi.
FedEx 1990, Anchorage Tower, runway 25 right, line up boy.
My boys, 25 right, FedEx 1990.
It's interesting that we have a Linden Hercules on the ground now, and there'll be one hopefully coming by later on today. We'll see.
144, contact tank center 125.7. 125.7, there, 144, good day.
Oh, it helps to turn off mute. Garrett, I was thinking folks might actually like to know who the heck we are.
Yes. I am Flyboy12, one of the moderators here with StreamTime Live, and come and go as we all do. And the camera is shaking on purpose. We should mention that right now. This is a feature that is intended to shake the water droplets down off of the housing. Try and make it a little easier to see. Shook some of them off. See several of them stuck there still. But I'm Flyboy12, based in the Louisville, Kentucky area, and I'm actually talking to you from Louisville. I'm not in Alaska, but over here in the East Coast. Next, we have Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy in the chats. I am a co-owner of StreamTime Live. I know diddly squat about planes, although my husband does fly a Cessna. So I was actually familiar with the term IFR. He's not rated yet, but he's working on it. And I'm here today just to make sure we capture everyone's questions and comments and engage with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. And I am in Ashland, Virginia, so another East Coast person, but we do have a West Coast person here.
We do.
Yes, I am Judd, and I'm based in Southern California. Supposed to get up to about 100 degrees today, which wouldn't really be that big a deal, except my air conditioning went out a few days ago. So we'll see how things go. It's been pretty hot the last few days, but I've dealt with it.
It's been in the upper 90s here the last few days, and I've been waiting for that same thing to happen and just stress the system too much. And I'm like, no, hang on, don't break on us.
Well, I'll be honest with you, watching this cool scene here does make me feel cooler. I don't know if it's a psychological effect or what.
A little tidbit from Lone Ranger.
Yes, and let me pull up the website. We were mentioning the Grumman Goose earlier, and it's a popular attraction here on the camera. There's a link for it that you can learn a little more. The Goose is a 1941 Grumman Goose. It's a plane that can either land on gravel or it can land on the water itself. It's got kind of the bottom, the hull of a boat and the top of a plane, the fuselage of a plane kind of mashed together and into one contraption, you might say. And it's really a fun looking plane. Two big engines up on the wings, but we'll hopefully get to see it later on. But yes, if you go on their website there, it's on screen now and then in the chat. You can go on there and learn some of the things that Lone Ranger was pointing out and be able to learn a little bit about the restoration and where it was originally and how it got back to the point where it is now and flyable and enjoyed by so many like us who get to see it virtually through this camera. See some people arriving here, even though it's a rainy day. They're still coming out.
The Goose is not in a place that I can zoom in on it now, but there is another flying boat type aircraft that I think I can find on the airfield, since we're talking about such things.
Yeah. And actually, there's the tail of one, correct? Right there beside our tower. There he is.
40 acres, tower, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff.
Do we know who this guy is?
No, we don't. But that's a smaller version of the goose that we talk about. And most of the people on the channel have probably seen the goose before, but
I have no idea what this means, Lone Ranger.
Widgeon. That's the
Widgeon.
plane, the model, you might say. So Grumman's the producer, and
Yeah.
or the manufacturer, and then you have a Widgeon.
Yeah, Grumman is the manufacturer of both the Widgeon and the goose.
So it's like a Ford F-150 or a Ford F-250 or a Chevy Silverado and a Chevy Tahoe. I don't know what to say for the people in Europe who may not have those brands and makes. Sorry, you're on your own. You'll just have to Google the vehicles I mentioned.
LML, for those who don't know, stands for our favorite mod, Little Mist Lakers. Hopefully she'll check in with us at some point this afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she'll be able to or not, but hopefully.
I see one of the planes that we're expecting just took off. Let me look at this here. We've got a Cessna 182 Skylane that is on our list of planes potentially coming. Just took off outside of Palmer. Let's see what I can find here.
I didn't even know Widgeon was a bird, Chris. But thank you for that.
There we go.
I got to go look it up.
Yes.
That's right. I learned a new word the other day from Kathy in a message she sent to me. Oh, I mean, it was a good word. It was an okay word. I just hadn't heard it before. So, you learn lots of things in these chats.
Oh, with these cameras, both on the plane side and the ship side, I'm today years old to learn things all the time.
Here you go, Kathy. Here's a
There
Widgeon.
we go. Oh, beautiful.
Isn't it? And while we're sharing, let me switch over here and show you. This is November 20975. This is one of the ones that is on our schedule. We'll see if they are headed this way or headed somewhere else. I assume they're coming to Anchorage, but we'll find out. We might have one on our way now. So we'll keep an eye on that. And if you'd like to look it up, you may. Stream back up on here. Band looks like they're gearing up, huh?
Yeah, it's not clear to me who's part of the band and who isn't. We'll have to wait till things start happening.
It's true. Oh, there we go. Chris has some more information for us. They had a theme and they stuck with it. We'll take that. Can appreciate it.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had a plastic model of I believe it was an albatross, which is quite a bit larger than the goose, but the same general appearance.
Interesting.
Now I'm going to Google albatross and make sure it's what I thought it was.
Actually, we've got both these planes are headed in right now. We've got a 182 and a PA-18 that are supposed to be doing a formation flight together. And they're together November 8976 Delta and November 20975. I guess it's technically Niner.
I'm sorry, I'm not. Where are they?
They're to the northeast.
Plus 59 Anchorage Tower, wind 0403, runway 15. Clear to land. Request the bases on final when you get to them.
All right, we'll give them to you.
Most of their end numbers in chat there.
Interesting. I wonder what their plan is.
Yeah. They're flying pretty close together right now, so let's see if I can share this again. So we have these two up here flying together. Again, it's a 182 and a Piper PA-18. There's their relation or their location in relation to us down here at Lake Hood and in Anchorage.
So actually, the clouds overhead are actually going up, or at least the lower layer is clearing up.
Good.
So I don't know. Maybe we're getting close to VFR. All right. Well, we may be VFR right now. So I don't know what that'll change.
Yes. I see a few people in the tent there. That's exciting. Out there ready for the show to start. I saw someone ask a few minutes ago. So let me see if I can find this. Someone was asking what time it was. Norman Sheldon was asking, what time is it there? It's 2:26 p.m. here. If you look about center of your screen on the Lake Hood picture there, it says 10:39 Alaska Daylight Time, just down a bit from the top edge of the live stream, and that will tell you throughout the day what time it is there in Alaska, and then you can figure out what might be coming next. So it's about 10:40 there. We've got our first planes potentially due in a little while, but we'll keep an eye on that and let you know. Currently, it's a little overcast and rainy, but even as jumping, some of the clouds seem to be moving up a little bit, so we'll see what happens.
Runway 15, country 471.
Regardless, we can continue enjoying the rain together, I suppose.
Again, I was today years old. Thanks, Marchuda.
There you go. We like learning things. We have Chris asking if Little Miss Lakers will be attending, and will she give us a wave again? So for those who don't know, I think Kathy just mentioned a minute ago, Little Miss Lakers, or LML, is one of our moderators. She lives in the Anchorage area and is a frequent flyer, you might say, around the Lake Hood camera. And unfortunately, she's had some family emergencies come up today, so we're not sure if she'll be able to come by or not. Hopefully we'll catch her, but regardless, we're thinking of her and hoping that everything works out all right and is all good with her family. So so we'll see if we get to see from her today or not. But thanks for asking about her. Interesting. Gosling. So the Grumman airplanes were largely used by military, is my understanding, when they were originally developed. I don't know if that was exclusive or not necessarily, but I think that was the large part of their avenue of business, you might say. But I do know that many of them are owned by private individuals now.
I love getting these tidbits from our friends in chat.
Yes, it is great. We're learning right along.
I'm not fact checking, so we have to trust you on your facts here, people.
We're gonna throw some curveballs for you, Kathy, and see if you can spot them or not. Like this one, does Judd have a green screen, or is he actually in a control tower? No one knows.
Oh, I wasn't following. Was that a question somebody asked?
No, I had your comment up there on screen.
Oh,
there you go. Boeing Catalina. Let me see. Isn't this a Catalina just below our camera? Let me look at there.
Part of one.
Yes.
You know, it's a rather interesting looking plane. It might be interesting to find a Google image of it and put it up, since we can't really see it very well in this view. But that big portion of a wing and engine you see there is part of a Catalina. And I was not aware that those were built by Boeing, actually. So that's interesting.
I wasn't either. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. I found one on the museum site, but it's very tiny. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm looking as well.
Mike, contact. Have a good day.
Let the mic drop. Good day.
There we go. Stick this in there. There you go. So there's a picture of the one, and you can see just a corner of the tower up here behind. Oh, never mind. You can't see my mouse. But just off the top edge of the plane there, the top edge of the wing, you can see the marker lights that we see from the camera up there on top of the tower. But that's the Catalina. Come back over here. These two are still inbound for the flyby, it appears. Boeing built the Clipper, not the Catalina.
Oh, okay.
The Ghost of Dago Lake. has the Catalina story. More things to look up here. I've heard this referenced, but I don't know anything about it.
I just posted a link to another little documentary that I found.
There you go.
Oh yes, Consolidated made the Catalina apparently.
That makes sense. It's in its name. Here you go. Here's a little paragraph about the plane that's on picture here now. This says it's a 1943 PBY 5A Catalina, and this is the ghost of Dago Lake that Loner Ranger was mentioning here a moment ago. This has been on, quoting from warrelics.eu, this has been on exhibit at the Alaska Aviation Heritage Museum. It went down in 1947, flying as part of the 10th Rescue Squadron stationed at Elmendorf Air Force Base. The pilot reported engine failures and it made an emergency landing at Dago Lake in the Alaskan Peninsula. The crew had no injuries. The plane had some minor hull damage. They tried to repair the engines, however, they had issues transporting the engine to the lake and it was lost in the lake. They also tried to ferry it back, but that also didn't work and ended up damaging some Norseman aircraft. The government finally sold the plane for a grand total of $58 in 1948. Most of the components were then sold for parts to Alaska Coastal Ellis Airlines. It then sat there until 1984 when it was returned to Anchorage. It was carried by a U.S. Army CH-54 Sky Crane helicopter. There's been discussion on restoring the PBY, but the price is very steep. It is estimated to cost $5 million.
Oof.
Right? Post a link to this here in the chat. You can read a little more about it if you'd like.
Les Phelps is asking, what is PBY?
Yes, I was just looking to see if I could find what it's.
Vibrate from Delta, or if you'd like to back taxi, there's 5,350 feet remaining.
The PBY is just the official name for the Catalina.
Okay.
That is my understanding anyway.
We have our 182 and our PA 18 still headed in here. Chris says PD is for patrol bomber and Y is for the manufacturer.
723, Anchorage Tower. Good morning, wind 060 at 4. Previous arrival reported the lights inside about 500 feet and the runway inside at 350 feet.
So it's possible, Garrett, we might want to listen to the Lake Hood ATC.
Okay.
Since we now have a plane coming in.
Mr.
Now,
Williams confirms, or concurs at least.
There you go.
Thank you, Bruce, Mr. Almighty.
So these planes may be coming in as, well, I don't know if they're still flying together or not. I guess we'll find out. I was going to say there are certain conditions in which they would have to separate from each other and come in individually. And I don't know if that would be the case now or not, but we'll see. This may be kind of challenging to pick these guys out early, but I will do my best here. But we should have a plane coming in should be somewhere around where I'm aiming. I'm going to back off a little bit since I don't know exactly where it's going to show up for us when it comes in through the low visibility.
So this is the plane that we're referencing and talking about on its way in now. Highlighted in red there, you can see his track marking out in yellow and white. We're going to be watching for him. Looks like he might be coming down towards Bernard and come down that way, Jed.
Yeah, he's approaching the ballpark, so that's where I'm aimed.
With Delta, I called approach and said that it's not broken at 400. Your ATIS is still saying that.
It is, it doesn't look like that out the window as much, but they're calling a few clouds at 300, ceiling 4,700, overcast, visibility 5 miles. I would say it's a little lower up to the north by Point McKenzie and gets slightly better towards Lakehead.
All right, we're inbound for 3-2. Thanks, 76 Delta.
76 Delta, roger, report the ballpark for runway 32.
Call the ballpark.
Lakehead Tower 20975. The clouds were right on the shore as I was approaching it, so I made a 180. I'm going to head back out towards Point McKenzie now.
975, roger. Let's travel about 3 north of Point McKenzie inbound.
Roger that. We'll be looking 975.
976 Delta, that was from an aircraft that was just trying to get in. They're mid-channel outbound now. They're saying the clouds are right at the shoreline.
All right, have them turn to the boat. We'll turn around if we have to.
Roger.
Okay, sounds like what's happening.
If you could head for the bolt hole and then outbound traffic's about 2 north of McKenzie now inbound.
Roger that. I got the hole in sight. 975.
Sounds like what's happening is the plane that was trying to come in before had to kind of bail, and
yeah,
so
you can
it's leaving.
You can see there on the flight radar on screen right now where he made that loop to turn around and he's heading back.
So apparently the
outbound is now
the weather was good enough out where he was, but as he got in closer, the weather wasn't good enough, and so he had to turn around.
Maybe they need some windshield wipers on their airplanes. We're going to need one here on the camera here before too long.
Les thinks so too.
There you go. Need an umbrella for the camera. That's it. Les, will you get up there and hold it for us? Just hold it right beside the camera. Go up there and wipe it off every so often.
Yeah, 76 Deltas are passing off you right now. Same altitude indicated. Should be no factor.
Now we do have another plane heading this way, so I don't know if it's going to continue or if it's just going to a convenient place to do a 180. Which could be the case, I guess, because that other one was outbound. We'll see.
Right. They could have been waiting to confirm that they saw each other and go from there.
Right. There's a specific path they have to follow when they're inbound and then a different path when outbound. So we'll see if the other one turns around too, or maybe it's kind of like a sign that says wet paint and the second one has to try it themselves. But no, actually, it looks like it's
he's spinning around.
It's turning. Okay, well, we got a couple of somewhat big drops on the camera, so let's see what happens if I shake it a little bit.
Amy says we missed the sun by a day, and I'd say you're exactly right. If we would have planned it one day earlier, we might have been okay. It was a beautiful day yesterday, but we'll see what happens.
Oh boy, the traffic
yesterday
was amazing. It was nonstop.
It looks like
good. Visibility 5 miles, few clouds, 300, light rain and mist, altimeter 29904.
Eight 976 Delta has he did a full 360. Now he's turned back again, so we'll see what he does there.
Yeah, I noticed it's maneuvering.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Maybe he's trying to decide what he wants to do.
Tower, can you go ahead with that altimeter setting here?
Altimeter 299.3 now.
Thank you.
Trying to make sure he's got his instruments set up appropriately so that he has everything correct. See if he's able to make it in.
Wow, he's at 300 feet, so he may be under something.
I'm showing him at 200 feet now. How about some history? You have some history to share with us. We were talking about the pigs from 2009 a little while ago.
Are you putting us on the spot, Amy, or do you have something to share?
Well, the one thing I can throw out there is you hear them refer to Lake Spenard and Lake Hood, and the whole thing overall generally referred to as Lake Hood. Originally, it was two separate lakes, and in fact, you can see where the main water lane is, the east-west water lane, as well as the taxi lane on the other side of Gull Island. You can kind of see that it looks somewhat artificial. You know, it's kind of a strip they dredged between the two lakes. And that was done quite a while ago. I mean, I think maybe in the 40s or something. Okay, now we're going to see if we can see this plane. We got another plane coming in here now, trying to.
Give you a brief peek at him.
So this is always kind of a trade-off when operating the camera. Do you zoom in close to see it, or do you zoom out wider so that you'll be able to see? The problem with zooming in tight is you have to make sure you're looking in the right place.
Right.
Up, no, it bailed.
You got back to the edge again.
Yeah. Which is probably why we couldn't see it.
Right. So I'm seeing lots of folks from all around the world even. Where are you all from? Let us know in the comments there. I see a Switzerland, and Amy's from Alaska, and Betty's from Alaska. Tell us where you're from. We'd love to hear and love to see the diversity, I guess you might say, of everybody. So we can see. Looks like that 182 has just called it off completely. I think he's headed straight back to Palmer.
Thank you, Amy.
There you go. There's the information we've been looking for. Ended up as bacon. And here we have ducks on screen there just a moment ago that Judd was showing us that they were trying to correct.
Well, I'd certainly like to thank those pigs for the sacrifice they made. It worked out well for us.
It did. All right, let's see. I'm going to call out a few of the places where folks are checking in from. So we have Lone Ranger in the UK. We have Robin from New Mexico. Monzi from Ontario. Okay, Martin from Northeast Iowa. Bass Playa from South Carolina. Lars from Denmark. Chris B. from Yorkshire. Hopefully I said that right. Off-Road is from Northern California. Hello, sir. We've got Gene from Tucson. They have a very cool aviation museum down there in Tucson, Pima Air and Space. And they have a whole corner of the museum, interestingly enough, that is all amphibious planes. So if you ever have the chance. We have Les from Atlanta, Edward from Oklahoma City, John from Washington State. Scroll past Larry, Curly, and Mo. We have Sue from Wisconsin, George from Sequim. Merchuda is from Buckley, Washington, out by north of Mount Rainier. Dan and Shell from Michigan. Northern Virginia, for Gunstar 1. Diane is in Southern California. Judd, are you looking for our reflection?
Yeah, I have. I've done that before. You can kind of see what things look like from that different perspective if you look carefully at the image.
Very carefully, yes. You can see the back of the buildings there. Bruce from New Jersey. Jay from Palm Springs. Let's see. The Republic of Texas for Michael Smith. Grandma Cindy's in Central Indiana. Ontario.
And I always feel that the need to explain that when people say Ontario, they're probably talking about Ontario, Canada.
Yes.
And rather than Ontario, California. I live right nearby Ontario, California, and
there you
sometimes
go.
that creates some confusion, and it doesn't help to try to clarify by saying Ontario, CA. That absolutely does not help.
I did not know there was an Ontario, California.
I had no idea.
Oh, really? Well, you know, the reason that is significant on this channel is that there is a regular 1 or 2 a day 747 UPS that goes from Anchorage and flies to Ontario. And
you're Ontario, though.
Yes.
There you go.
And I have clarified that because some people were saying it was going to Canada, but no. Where you see ONT for the destination on the flight tracking software, that is Ontario, California.
Good to know.
Meanwhile, there are 32 places in the United States named Ashland.
I'm aware of. I'm aware of some of them. There's one near where I grew up in Nebraska that was kind of on the way driving somewhere that I always remembered. Now we got a kind of interesting thing that's going to happen here. This plane is a Navajo or a chieftain. It's going to be departing from Anchorage, but before it does so, it's actually going to have to cross a road, and that road actually has a crossing, an aircraft crossing sign with crossing gates that are actually repurposed railroad crossing gates.
Oh, interesting.
Which is kind of interesting. I'll see if I can't remember exactly how much shows of that, but I'll zoom into where it's going to cross, and we'll be able to see the quote unquote railroad crossing gates cross. Now I know what I'm looking for, but I can see it in the shot now.
Just there on the left edge of your screen. Looks kind of like a fence, correct?
I think it's dead center.
It's now.
It's up. Yes. Sorry.
You can see the gate arm, and then if you look carefully down below in the clutter, you can see the crossbucks. I think they call them the. Oh, there we go.
There it goes.
Well, I'm sorry. We'll have to. No, I'm sorry. Okay, never mind. I was getting mixed. Time travel is difficult. I was going to say, well, you won't see it yet, but actually you will.
There you go. Bound for king salmon.
So this is the place where the aircraft coming from Lake Hood stop to do their engine run-ups. So they do the engine run-up before they cross over to Anchorage International. There's one taxiway that connects Lake Hood and Anchorage International, and it goes, you can see in the distance, you can see there's a big gate, because Lake Hood is not a secure airport as far as, you know, TSA kind of stuff, whereas Anchorage International is secure. So there are provisions for the pilots to be able to open the gate, and so right now you're going to see that the pilot commanded the gate being open. So that will allow him to cross over and make it over to the Anchorage International side.
Who knew? Thank you.
When I have a chance, I might pull up a street view, or in fact, maybe Garrett wants to do that. Pull up a street view showing the aircraft crossing sign.
In the meantime, here's another tidbit from our local gal, Amy.
And Judd, it sounds like 89 or 76 Delta is going to try coming back in again.
Oh.
So I'm watching them on the radar. They're circling out by Point McKenzie still. So I'll let you know if they start heading this way again.
Okay. You know, it's funny. I spent an awful lot of time on the Lake Hood camera when it first opened, but I was still learning significant things even a year or two afterwards, as far as different little places you could look to see things and things like that. But interestingly, I came across that plane crossing when the Lake Hood camera was still in the planning stages. When I had heard that they were going to add one, I spent some time looking around in Street View and stuff, and actually located that aircraft crossing there. So with that said, I think it may have taken me quite a number of months to realize that I could see that from the camera, though. But I knew it was there. And that's called Taxiway Victor, that connection between the two airports.
Did you see this comment by Off-Road, Judd? Do they really click the mics to open the gates?
Yes. Yes, they do.
That's cool.
They click it a certain number of times. And that's actually a standard procedure at airports, usually used to turn on the runway lights at night, because the small airports, for energy savings, they don't leave the runway lights on at all times. But in those cases, in a lot of cases, the pilots can actually use their microphone, go to a specific frequency, click their mic a certain number of times, and turn on the runway lights. So in this case, they're using it for gates. And in fact, there's two different sequences. You know, how many times you click it can either open the gates I was just showing, or, and I'll zoom over into it, the gates that connect the actual lake area with the gravel runway. They just click it a different number of times. So that's
looks like 8976 is coming back in again, Judd.
Okay.
What are we looking at here?
Earthquake Park.
Well, right now we're looking at the gates. There's an additional gate which connects kind of the lake side of Lake Hood to the gravel runway side of Lake Hood. And so that's another gate, which is also controlled by the pilots. Okay, let's see if we can find anything here. There should be a plane. Let's see if it makes it.
It's over Earthquake Park now.
Well, looks like we got it.
There we go. We've got our first flyby of the day.
Yeah, I don't think this counts as official, but hey, the plane being here is a good first step.
That's right.
Now, was this one of the two formation planes?
It was. Yep.
Okay. So if this one makes it, maybe the other one will as well.
Yeah, let me look for him and see if I can find him. (20975). He's been doing loops out there a little further away by Goose Bay Point, McKenzie Airport.
Good day.
And I'll keep an eye on him and see if he's headed this way or not.
In the meantime, Amy has some more tidbits for us.
Okay. 330 nooks, crannies, docks, or fingers at present count for float planes. There you go.
Interesting.
And most of those float planes are, or those float slips are reserved currently. From my understanding, I've heard that you have to go on a waiting list to get a float slip.
Yes, just read what Amy had to say. Oops. Thank you,
think
Leslie. Wow.
I think there's only about 5 of them that are for visitor use. So there's, all the rest of them are assigned.
Gotcha. 230 names on the wait list.
11 to 12-year wait. Holy cow.
Oh, man. That's amazing.
You actually need to pay to stay on the list. Not a great deal of money. And if that sounds unfair, the reason they did that is because people were just putting their name on the list just in case someday they might want a plane, like
made sure they were bought into
30
it.
years I want a plane, so I'll just put my name on the list. So they
Wow.
added a small fee for being on the list just to try to keep the list to the the serious
People who actually wanted to do it.
applicants. Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. There's a lot more people that would want a slip at Lake Hood.
Yeah. Chris, just before I answer your question, let me go back and finish answering or giving a shout out to some of these folks who checked in. We had Fabio from Brazil, and Amy, as we know, is from Alaska, but she's from Anchorage here. Russell is in wine country of California, and Wasilla, which is just not far away from Anchorage as the crow flies anyway. Montana, Boise, Idaho. Brian's from Northwest Florida. And he specified that he's down in the Charleston area. Betty is in Sterling. And we have N2D Woods from Southwest Iowa. We have our very own Jim in Tennessee from Northeast Tennessee. And Ray is from Flushing, Michigan. Spike is in Southeast West Virginia. I thought only West existed in West Virginia. I didn't know that East was even on the compass. Let's see here. Do I have any others that have checked in? I don't think so. Let me go back here. I saw a couple of questions.
Hold on. One last shout out.
Oh, good. You caught it. Florida Keys, Key Largo. Makes sense with your YouTube handle there. So Dan asked, are the F-22s scheduled to make a pass? And we don't have them on our official list. I suppose since they're the military, they can do what they want. But we've not been made aware of them coming by, so we'll watch for them, but not sure. Thanks to Chris Start for becoming a member.
Yay, thank you, Chris.
Channel. Thank you, sir.
Can we go back to Chris's question?
Yes, let's do that. Scrolling back down to the bottom here. Chris's question, any info on how half cars came about? So I don't know the exact history of how they were developed or whatnot. Jed, do you know anything about kind of what kicked off the half truck?
You know, at one point, I think I looked it up, and that was a while ago, and I don't remember what the answer was. I don't know if it was in the Seattle area where they also have a great deal of float planes. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know too much other than that. Now, here is, I don't know, most of you have probably seen this, but right now we got what I call the half van.
Yes.
This is actually a van rather than a pickup truck that's been converted. So they cut off the back of the van and used it.
There's one usually over by the west ramp that is facing towards the camera a little bit, but basically you can see there that it has a platform that goes up underneath the airplanes. For any who may not be aware of what we're talking about here, it goes up under the airplane in between the two floats, and it has a platform that lifts the plane up so that they can transport it on the ground and not be dragging the floats all over the ground and destroying the floats. So they can come down on the ramp, which is very similar to a boat ramp, and pick up the plane and drive it to their parking spot, whether that be at the changing of seasons or just at the end of the day, if they don't have a reserved spot right on the float or right on the side of the lake for them to tie down at. Oh yes, here's Rust's, just there off to the left of this view. Rust's float plane.
Yeah, I'll zoom in on it in a little bit, but you can kind of see it from the front. It takes some thought to figure out what's going on here. It confuses a lot of people. Some of the critical things to help explain it is it's not like a trailer. The connection is not flexible. It's solidly welded to the truck.
It doesn't pivot.
Right, and that's because people can't figure out certain aspects of it, and that's one of the confusions is thinking of it as a trailer. The other thing is, I don't know if it has ballast or what, but the center of gravity for the overall truck has to be in front of the regular front wheels of the pickup, or else the thing would tip up. So that front part that sticks out clearly weighs an awful lot, weighs enough to keep the front down there. Now, yeah. I wish we had a side view of one. And
I've got one I can show you here.
Oh, you have a picture, or?
I do. Let me find it.
I don't know. Thank you, Michael. If the rear axle of the half trucks wasn't removed, they would be unable to turn the vehicle. Although I don't understand what that means.
Well, because the front wheels, the wheels way out on that front platform are
there. You go, there. Just at the bottom edge of the screen. If those are there,
and if you turned the truck wheels, you'd be trying to drag the rear wheels of the truck or those front wheels out on the platform, or both. So it wouldn't really work well. Let me go to some places where I know there's others of those. We'll maybe be able to get different perspectives on them, and maybe we'll get lucky and we'll see one that kind of explains things better. The best view to kind of understand it is a side view. But, oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, that's a good picture.
So this is one. And you can see here that we've got the truck wheels, the steer wheel, that's typical on a vehicle for the front wheels to steer, and that still steers on this setup. But then the back wheels here don't steer. Those are those wheels that we were just showing you on the Rust's plane. But this whole contraption kind of in between the floats that we can't see is what's lifting it to give us this gap between the ground and the bottom of that float. See if I can
it's hard to see from the image that's up on the screen, but under the back of the pontoons on the plane is the wheels under that front part that sticks out.
Just there.
Right. Those wheels he's on now are not a part of the plane. Those are part of the truck.
The lifting platform.
All right, I'm going to jump off for 5. I'll be right back.
Okay, great. See you in a bit. Sometimes there's one parked over here by the ramp, and I'm not seeing one. So we do have another interesting piece of hardware over here by the north ramp, and let me go back to it.
Well, you're looking for that, Jed. Interestingly enough, our neighbor there, the one that passed through to go over to Anchorage, is also supposed to be part of our flyby today. So we'll have to keep an eye on them when they come back by and see if they do a pass for us. Could just be the taxiing by the museum, though. I suppose that could be their version of a flyby.
Okay, what we have here now is it's actually a vessel that goes around the lake, and it actually harvests. I think it's called an aquatic vegetation harvester. I can't remember the official name. We call it the weed eater or something, or I don't know what people call it, weed harvester or seaweed harvester. That thing goes around. It kind of almost looks like a farm combine, and it actually scoops up the there's plants growing, quote unquote seaweed growing in the lake, and this thing actually goes around the lake and cuts that off and piles it in the vehicle, and then backs up and unloads it on shore. I don't know if it's been operating much this year or not. I haven't been on the camera too much. But that's always fun to watch when it's out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ah, yes, and as Kathy, as is being pointed out right now, we actually have T-shirts in the merch shop of the half truck, as we call it.
Chris B, please do not try this with a Porsche or a Beetle. Although, if you Google half truck or Seaplane half truck or something like that, you can find all kinds of pictures of all different sorts of vehicles that they've cut up and modified to be these float plane trucks. I've not ever seen one that was a Porsche or a VW, but I've seen some crazy ones. So.
Well, there's some videos of a Toronado that I've seen.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
And now it's been so long since I've seen a Toronado, I can't even remember who made that. But that was a front-wheel drive vehicle, which is what made that the candidate for, being used for that.
And that's an important thing to make a note of is that these vehicles are front-wheel drive. Those steer wheels are still what's steering the vehicle as well as moving the vehicle. And that shaking we just saw, for anyone who's come on recently and maybe his first time here, we do that. The camera does that intentionally, and it's there to shake the water droplets down off the housing. So we still have control of the camera. It's okay.
And usually it's such a sensory shock when people see that they don't even notice that on the upper left hand part of the screen, there is actually a message in red text that mentions what it is. But a lot of people don't notice that.
I don't know that I've ever noticed it either.
Oh. Okay. Yes, it does clearly. Well, I'll say clearly, but it does say in red text on the upper left what's going on.
There you go, Judd. Found a tornado.
Oh, is that the tornado?
I believe so. Regardless, it's a car. Go back to watching our band play. I believe I saw on the museum's Facebook page that the band is the Carhart brothers, because they all wear the Carhart bibs. And I assume the implication would be that they are also brothers. But I believe that's the band name that's playing today for everybody.
Yeah, I'm guessing their last name is not Carhart.
I doubt it, but you never know. There you go. Grandma Cindy and Mr. Strap both say it was an Oldsmobile.
Oh, the tornado was an Oldsmobile. You know, that almost sounds familiar to me now.
Oh, and Gunstar 1 also said that. There you go. And Lars is asking, what camera is used? It is an Axis. I can never remember the model number. Do you remember, Judd?
Yes, it's Axis Q6155-E.
Yeah, these are like a high-end security camera type looking device that lets us have 360 degrees of rotation, as well as it can tip up positive 20 degrees. Got quite a bit of flexibility with this that we can look all around. Kurt was asking, how deep is the lake? I think it varies on what part of the lake you're in. Owner Ranger says about $20 or $20. 20 feet in the middle. I am not sure personally, but I would not be surprised. I think I've seen that a few times. (20975) that was headed here a little while ago. Been doing some touch and goes, it looks like, but it's now headed back towards Palmer, I believe. So I am thinking they're not making it in today.
Interesting. I'm not seeing it on my flight radar.
We might have a special livery Alaska Airlines headed in here, Judd. I'm going to cross lined up for the runway now.
Well, we'll
ASA
see.
165.
Okay. Take a look. You're going to keep it a surprise for us?
No, I'm trying to get it to open here. It says Star Wars livery. It says it's a 738.
You know, they repainted my favorite one. they had a salmon livery, and
Yes.
I loved that one.
Is that the one that they just released recently, or re-released?
Well, I don't know. Were they going to redo an updated salmon one, or I think I heard maybe
I'm not
something
sure.
like that. But
They just released the Salmon People, is what they called it, the Salmon People plane.
982
Um,
Roger. We are currently VFR. I just use caution. It looks like it might be getting a little better, but some aircraft in the north said once I got to the shoreline, it was completely socked in and had to turn back around.
Should be coming in anytime now, Jeff.
well, I would think so. If I don't catch it on the end of the runway because of visibility, I'll catch it.
Yeah, he's just about to hit the end of the runway now.
Yeah.
And just to verify, you're going to go north and then turn back around, either Point McKenzie or anywhere you want. I have no traffic. And then you're going to come in and fly down the west lane.
Yes, that's affirmative, and I think they want 2 passes, and so can I do then right close traffic?
982 affirmative. Runway 32, clear for takeoff, and just let me know when you're on your way back inbound. A right turn would be just fine.
982, thank you very much. Clear close 32.
Sounds like we have one taken off after this. So here's the Star Wars livery of Alaska Airlines landing at Anchorage, Ted Stevens Anchorage International. I don't know that I've ever seen this airplane here before.
No, it's a little bit hard to make out the details, unfortunately, in this conditions, but
Then we have one taken off at runway 32 for a pass by the West Water Lane, is what I was hearing, I believe.
run that by me again.
I think I was hearing on the ATC that we have one taken off on runway 32 and going to come down the West Water Lane for a flyby of the museum here.
Yikers. Well, we'll see. So this one does not have an ADS-B transponder, so that's why we're unable to see it on flight radar. Do you know if it has taken off yet, or?
I don't. He asked for clearance a few minutes ago, so I assume he did.
Okay.
So he might be lining up for the water lane now. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, let me see.
747. That'll be coming into Anchorage International next door where we were just watching. See if we can pick them out of the fog, huh? Thank you, Off-Road. Yes, in memory of Bob Stabilizer and W.A. Stainer. Bob Stabilizer, for many of you here at Lakewood that are regulars, we know that he was a regular around here, but we lost him. So, as well as W.A. Stainer.
Both sorely missed. Thank you for that, Off-Road. You're the best.
982, how's the weather out there?
It actually cleared up. It looks pretty nice out here.
All right.
Looks pretty nice out here, huh?
We beg to disagree.
Well, the ceiling may have raised a lot, and I don't know. Let me pull up the METAR, the aviation weather.
And Lakewood Tower 982, I'm ready to take a right turn and follow the west route in if that works.
982, roger that. Just report the ballpark.
Report ballpark 982.
Alrighty, he's headed in.
So we've got few clouds at 300 feet and 4,700 overcast and 5 miles visibility. So technically we are good. I mean, I think we're VFR. So the planes can fly in here. Now, it may not be VFR. A very short distance from the airport is probably kind of spotty. So,
Right, I imagine so.
Tower, Pepper 2581. That's the Swift Beach with Echo, just looking for one last pattern.
November 2581 Mike, Lake Tower, are you ready to go down?
Yeah, I'm ready to go now.
81 Mike, west, clear for takeoff. Fly northbound, I'll call your right-hand turn.
There we go. Sounds like we got another one taking off.
Thanks for the info, Amy.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Who knew?
Kill the Lake are all within. They're just uncontrolled, I imagine. Here we go. We've got one taken off of Lake Spinard now. Again, this one doesn't have ADS-B on, so we can't track them on flight radar or any of those. But we can visually track them.
Ballpark.
81 Mike, go ahead and start your right-hand turn towards the north. Traffic just over the ballpark, low level. Let me know if you get them in sight.
Looking at 81 Mike.
November 982 west, clear low approach. After your approach, make right close traffic.
982, clear for close approach and make right for close traffic.
All right, here we come. See if we can find them in the mist.
Mike, still interacting on site.
All right, 1 Mike, make your right turn towards the ballpark.
All right, thanks, 1 Mike.
okay, it wasn't clear, but it almost sounds like I heard them saying they're bailing.
Okay.
Because
And 81 Mike,
saying.
west, clear for the action. You're number 2. Traffic's on a right base.
oh, we do
there
have
he
a
is.
plane
All
now.
right, accept the option for 2, 81 Mike.
There we go. Looks like he's got his skis fitted.
Yeah, I hope you remember he's just doing a flyby.
Don't try to land.
Hopefully the muscle memory doesn't kick in, right?
Right. Absolutely.
It's interesting that he has skis on, though.
Yeah. Must just be stuck them on for the flyby to kind of show off a different configuration, I guess.
Well, it could just be that since those are have the wheels and the skis, maybe he doesn't fly with floats. Maybe he just leaves those on all year round.
It's set up, yeah. There he goes on. Just faintly hear him. Let me see if we can adjust our audio here just a little bit. I believe originally he said he was going to come back by for a second pass.
He may have to make up for some other
Hey, well,
planes, so maybe he'll have to just keep coming by.
There you go.
Troubleshoot some radio issues.
Hey, 1 Mike, roger that.
Oh, maybe not.
Oh, I missed that. What did he say?
He said he's going to land. He's having some radio issues.
Oh, okay. Well, that's unfortunate.
Right. I believe this is. I just found him on our.
Number 982 West clear to low approach. Your number 2 traffic on short final.
982.
Oh, we got another one coming.
Close approach. West.
This is that one was a 1952 PA-18. According to my notes.
Okay, looks like this one was not a part of the flyby, but I believe there's another one coming shortly that will be. And we will take what we can get today.
That's right.
In the meantime,
we're going to be happy with it.
Another little factoid from Amy.
Oh yes, going back to those lakes within 5 miles. Well, those are public lakes. The planes that land there are usually homeowners that live in the lake and have private docks to park their aircraft. So interesting. That is a good segue. Something I want to share with you all is a little book that I read recently called Memories from My Logbook, a Bush Pilot's Story from Lynn Wyatt. And he flew a lot in and out of Lake Hood here and to some of these neighboring lakes around. And he had a cabin on a lake like Amy was just talking about. And he would fly in and taxi up to the dock and tie down for the weekend and spend some time there. But I've got a little section that I wanted to share with you all. We'll come back to that after this next plane here. But it's really a fun little book to read. Looks like a similar configuration here. Or is this the same one? Maybe coming in for a landing. No, he's too low to be going to the gravel, so he must be doing another pass.
Yeah, Campbell Lake is an interesting place. If you have a chance, I suggest for people to go to Google Maps and then, Street View and stuff like that and check out Campbell Lake. It's a pretty impressive area. Nice. There's some nice real estate there. Very cool. I believe it's Campbell Lake. There's a couple, and I may be getting mixed up, but I think Campbell Lake is the one I'm thinking of that's has some really nice houses on.
Now, if you'll notice on this plane, he's got an extra little pod underneath the fuselage of the plane there, called a belly pod, and it's just an extra area where he can store more gear when he's transporting stuff in and out of the bush, typically. Kind of see it there between the wheels and struts.
Tower 982, can I enter ready traffic for landing on 32 full stop?
982, affirmative.
He's going in for a landing now. That was an impressive low pass that he did there. He's flying very slow. That's a lot of skill to fly that slow and that low. And takes a lot of confidence in your skills to be able to do that over open water, too. Here he comes around for the gravel strip.
Oh, is he going to come by for another pass?
No, I think he's going around for the gravel strip, he said.
November 982, runway 32, clear to land.
Clear land 32, 982.
So for those who are new to Lake Hood or even this stream in general, we've got quite a bit going on here. So the water that you see, the lake, has runways and water lanes for people to land on. And then where we're about to watch this aircraft land is a gravel strip just kind of to the northeast, I guess you might say, of the lake itself, where general aviation can land. And then off behind us is Ted Stevens Anchorage International. And that's a big operation. I want to say they got bumped up to the third busiest cargo airport in North America. They were the 4th for a long time.
In the world, I think.
Is it the world?
I thought it
And
was, but
that sounds right. But they got bumped up, and they are handling all kinds of traffic over there as far as cargo and passenger planes and all that stuff.
The questions are starting to pile up.
Oh, good. We like questions. Just wondering if you will be live streaming the Arctic Thunder Air Show. So the Arctic Thunder Air Show is the show over at Elmendorf. Oh, and now we get it in all caps. That's fun.
They're serious.
Well, don't yell at us. We'll get to your question. I don't know. We haven't historically live streamed it. Sometimes we catch a little bit of the action. Part of the trouble is it's just at the edge of our reach that we can see some of what's happening over at Elmendorf, but not see it real clearly sometimes, especially on days like today. We can't even hardly see past the edge of Lake Hood. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm not sure.
I don't think we would be having a special broadcast for it, but it's possible that someone may be on the camera. And of course, we always like to catch the military aircraft.
Yes. From remote supply deliveries. I believe so, Les. There are a number of air taxi services, they're called. So we've got Russ just off to our right. We were looking at their float truck a little while ago. There are a bunch of air taxis around the lake, and they not only shuttle people, but I believe they also will shuttle supplies. Out of Anchorage.
Our resident expert weighs in.
There we go. third busiest cargo airport in the world is Ted Stevens. Yeah, and Loner Ranger raises us an interesting point here. One example is Russ flies supplies out for the Iditarod race. So the Iditarod race will have supply stations set up along the race, and Russ will fly in supplies to keep those things stocked along the way. There you go, Judd. A little bit more information about Campbell Lake for our viewers.
Okay.
Well, let me read you a little section here. One of the things that we talk about a lot on this camera, and even right now you can see the lake is very smooth, very calm. And we often comment on that and go, the lake looks beautiful today. It's nice and calm. Must be a great day for flying. And one of the things that if you stick around Lake Hood for very long, you'll learn that actually a calm day like this where the lake has very little happening on the surface of the water is actually a very difficult day for flying, because there's no depth perception of how far away from the lake you are, because it all looks like a mirror from above. So there's a little chapter in here in this book for anyone who's new. Memories from My Logbook by Lynn Wyatt. He's flying out to one of these lakes, like Lake Campbell. And he's actually flying to a nearby lake called Shell Lake. And he has Johnny Mathis aboard with him. So let me tell you a little bit about this. He says, Johnny Mathis came to Anchorage for a concert and to experience, quote, the Alaska adventure, end quote. Someone in the entertainment business selected me to fly him out to my cabin on Shell Lake for a wilderness experience. I felt honored to be chosen to spend the day with this legend. I'd been listening to Johnny Mathis's music since high school and was thrilled to meet him. Johnny arrived at my airplane in a big black Cadillac. Stepping out, he said, "Hi, I'm John," and introduced his companions Gil, his guitarist, and his secretary. We strapped into my lake amphibian for the trip. I kept the airplane parked on the ramp by Big Red's flying service, and we taxied down the boat ramp into Lake Hood, retracted the landing gear, and requested takeoff clearance from Lake Hood Tower. Everyone gets a thrill on their first seaplane takeoff, and they loved it. We climbed over Cook Inlet and then let down about 200 feet of altitude for the flight so we could watch for wildlife along the way. On this warm, sunny day with clear skies, no turbulence, and not a breath of wind, I kept us low over the winding rivers. We spotted a few bears and moose along the riverbank as we headed north, not seeing another person along the way. The remote landscape was always a favorite to first-time visitors. 45 minutes later, we arrived at Shell Lake, its surface shimmering with glassy water reflecting the surrounding mountains. Touchdown on the reflective surface was like landing on a mirror with no depth perception. And this is a part I really wanted to share because it really helped me understand personally a little bit better, having never flown in a float plane like this, what they're meaning by that. So watching my vertical speed indicator, I made my approach maintaining 100 feet per minute descent and then eased back to 50 feet per minute, keeping the shoreline in my peripheral vision for reference. John sat in the front seat. I asked him to watch out the side window and tell me when we were about to touch. He was still watching when we heard the gentle hiss as the hull softly touched the water. Wow, he said, I thought we still had another 10 feet to go. And it's just the craziness of how even being asked to specifically watch, tell me when we're about to touch down, even though you're that focused, you still can't catch it. And that's the book there. Kathy's got it up for us. I'd encourage you to pick it up. For those who are slow readers or not good readers, it's thin, it's small. It's not a big one, but it is fascinating. It grips you and brings you right into his stories, and tells you even a little bit about the history of the lake and surrounding areas and what's happening. But fun thing for sure to pick up and read and just learn a little bit more about what it's like to live there and be around that area.
Thank you so much, Crispy. We're so glad you're here today.
Yes. I've got a video. We were talking about Little Miss Lakers a little while ago. I've got a video here that she went and got with Phyllis Kilgore, who is the museum, the executive director of the museum there, the Alaska Aviation Museum. And she went around with Alex and showed her a little bit of the area or of the museum and some of the things that they're hoping to do in the next couple of years. And I'd like to show that to y'all and let you see a little bit from that perspective of what's going on and even some of the layout of the museum. So let me get that pulled up. Here we go.
The executive director of Alaska Aviation Museum, and we are just going to go through a few new things, including our upcoming 2023 Flyby.
Yeah, let's go check out the new kids area. We've got the Children's Museum of Alaska put in a display and exhibit in there. It's going to be there for a year and a half. So let's walk. So this wonderful artist, her name is Cha-Cha, she donated her time to paint these murals. And if you come over just a little closer, so this is a selfie station to take pictures. And then over here, if you look, you can see the Alaska Airlines plane up there in the top. They're a big supporter of the museum. And then this is our Grumman goose flying. And what this represents is all things that are flying. So you've got a butterfly, you've got a bird, you've got a bee. So this is kind of teaching children all the different things that fly. And then if we look over here, this is a wind tunnel. So we've got these little parachutes, and it shows kids the dynamics of flying and how wind affects flying. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. So that's really fun. And that's been here just for about a couple of months. And like I said, it's going to be here for a couple of years. There's different things to do with your selfie station, your selfie stick.
Love it. Very cool.
So this is brand new.
Is there anything else new from last year, or
We do have, this is fairly new. This is the Trailblazers exhibit. These are all the first aviators in Alaska. You can see born 1902, died 1980, Bob Reeve. He was Revolution Airways. So we've got these 6, and then we've got Noel Wee, Merrill, Russell Merrill, Joe Paulson's are all original aviators in Alaska.
a lot of people know these names.
All the engines. This is pretty cool. This is a wooden float that we restored, and you can see how the mechanics of inside the float works.
Wow. Oh, that's really cool. Reflection. So what should we expect at the 2023 Flyby?
So at 10 o'clock, doors open. We're going to have food trucks. We've got 5 different food truck vendors. We're going to have a beer garden with wine, beer, and champagne. And we all like our bubbles. The flybys start around noon-ish for the private carriers. And then at 3 o'clock, the big carriers are coming in. So Linden is going to fly their Herc. Desert Air is flying their big DC-6s. Everett is flying their DC-3. And Northern Air Cargo is flying their 737. So you definitely want to be here for those big ones. They're going to do a low-level flyover over the lake. And this year, the FAA is allowing us to close the airspace. So right behind us in the Odom hangar, we're going to have an indoor airport and face painting. And then on the other side of the Odom hangar, down where that Super Cub is, Frontier Fun Flyers they're bringing their rockets to show kids how rockets work. And then out here, we'll have an outside gift store, beer garden there. Food trucks will be in the parking lot where all those buses are. And then VIP tower for our big and chubby booths. And then usually what happens is everyone else is sitting outside and down by the lake.
Excellent.
Now this is the restoration hangar, and this is where we're working on the P-40 restoration. So we'll walk inside here. Dwight Jones is a volunteer here. He's retired from the FAA. Go ahead. And Dwight's been working on the P-40 for 25 years. This is Dwight Jones. He's the one working on the P-40. We're going to interview him.
Oh.
Say hi.
Hi.
It's going to go on live StreamTime tonight. And this is the P-40 Warhawk. To make donations, you can make donations to the museum, but you can also make donations strictly to this project. And we allocated the funds only for the P-40. And you can see the signage up there if you want to go. Do you want to say anything, Dwight?
What's that?
Do you want to say anything about the P-40?
I know you're doing a good job.
Okay. So you can go to the Alaska Aviation Museum's website, or you can mail in a check. You can call the main number, 907-248-5325. And if you want to donate specifically to the P-40, just make a note of that either on your check or when you call in, or if you use a credit card, put it in the notes. This donations for the P-40.
Excellent. And it looks like from last year, I see quite a different. It smells like paint, that's for sure. Very cool. How many people work on this? Or
Dwight is the main person, but we do have about a half a dozen volunteers that help. Wow. And we're also working on this Norseman. We are, if you want to come over here. So all this woodworking is new. That's the paint smell that you're smelling.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you walk down here and peek inside, all of this is new wood. This plane was sitting outside, and if you peek back there, you can see all that's new. And we're going to get it all painted. And this won't be a flyable plane, but we do want to restore it to a better static display.
So this would be put somewhere outside at some point.
We're going to repaint the outside.
Awesome.
And get the signage taken care of also.
Gotcha.
Very cool.
This is where the magic happens, though.
Yes, absolutely. Where do you see the museum in 5 years, and how can anybody, including StreamTime Live, help make that happen?
I think having that camera up there, what I have seen from guests that have come in, a lot of people that live in other countries have come into the museum because of the camera. They are users. They say, a lot of people tell me that they watch it on a regular basis. How can StreamTime help? I think just promote the museum and letting them know that we're here, that we're open to the public, and let people know how they can donate. Where do I see us in 5 years? We're looking at renovating Hangar 2. Hangar 2 has the Alaska Airlines exhibit, the Wien Airways exhibit, and the kids area. That was where that red biplane was. We're looking at renovating that entire hangar. We're working on getting grants from the Atwood Foundation and the Rasmussen Foundation. So if you want to donate specifically to that renovation, you're welcome to do that also. Again, just note on your payment that you want it to be for the restoration of Hangar 2. That was in 1988. And you can see this hangar on the other side of the Boeing. That was the original entrance to the museum. And since that hangar has opened, we added this Rasmussen hangar. Ed Rasmussen was on our board, and the Rasmussen Foundation is a big supporter of the museum. And then this is the third hangar that was built, which is now the storefront and the entrance. And this is Bobby and Rita Schulten. They were big contributors to the Pioneer Hall. And the tower is something that's been in the last 10 years. And behind us, we take a window, the restoration hangar. And then this white tent was by funded by the Duplication. They are a Coca-Cola distributor here in Alaska, and they also distribute Coors.
Our viewers are curious what your favorite plane is.
The plane right behind me, this Widgeon, Grumman Widgeon. See how it's an amphib plane? It can land on the water, and it's got wheels. It can also land on a gravel strip or a airstrip.
And what year is that one?
It's the 40s. I don't remember exactly the year.
Awesome.
This is Bill Odom. He's one of our sponsors. That's the Odom Corporation.
Hello.
He's the presenting sponsor for the festival.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to add, or
I just look forward to you guys watching us on Saturday. Doors open, like I said, at 10. The big planes are at 3, and the Grumman Goose is landing on the lake at 11:30.
And can you also tell us how much tickets are to just on an average day?
$17.50 for adult admissions. We do offer discounts for military and seniors. Awesome. And then it's $10.50 for kids.
Excellent. And that's a day pass?
Day pass, right.
All right.
You can buy an individual or family membership that gives you unlimited access to the museum throughout the year. And it also gives you a discount in the gift store.
Perfect.
Individual membership is $50, family memberships is $75.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Yeah,
we
we'll
appreciate
see you Saturday.
It. Sounds great.
All right, folks. Here we go. Kathy is still muted. Let me unmute her here. There we go.
Sorry. I was just saying that, Little Miss Lakers did such an amazing job, and she had never done anything like that before. I mean, she's just a natural at this stuff.
She is. She asked me a couple of times, was it okay? Was it okay? And I said, yes, it was great. We're going to use it. It was fantastic. Thanks so much. So it's unfortunate that she can't be with us right now, but she needs to take care of her family. So maybe we'll see her, maybe we won't. Regardless, hope all goes well.
Well, at least we showed the video, so she participated here as well.
That's it for sure. Let's see. There's a U.S. Oh, I am not sure that we'll be able to see that one. Let me see what we see on radar here.
No, I'm pretty sure we won't be able to see that.
Thank you, Tom A. Much appreciated.
Yes, Tom. So here's the, it's got it kind of messed up there for a second, but this is the aircraft Lone Ranger was just referring to. Here's Ommendorf, you can see there as well.
Did we see a lot of military traffic here?
If the weather's nice.
Yeah, we actually regularly do see the AWACS, C-17s, C-130s, F-22s, F-35s.
Yep.
Yeah, very regularly.
Let's see here. Where'd my other window go? All right. Well, I'm not sure what to think for the Goose there. I haven't seen anything out of them just yet, but they were supposed to be maybe coming out around 11:30. Maybe we'll still get to see them today. We'll see.
Well, Chris B., that's a big question, but there is no flight-worthy AN-225 in existence in the world now. So it's not necessarily clear that we will see one. I guess that depends on if they're able to either finish one that was partway completed, or if they repair the one that was very heavily damaged in Ukraine. But yeah, I don't believe so.
I thought I read somewhere that they were actually going to try and restore her. Let me look.
I heard something about that.
Too.
I guess we'll find out. I mean, we'll find out. I don't think it would be any time soon. If it happens, anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Here we go. We got some ducks. Let's see.
Now you can see that we do have a few raindrops.
Just a couple.
Well, it looks like the 225 was probably too far gone, and I'm reading that Antonov officials say another AN-225 was partially built but abandoned in the 90s because of lack of funds. The current plan is to use what they already have as the basis for a new plane and apparently try and salvage what they can.
From the other.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yes, let me find the link. Off-Road's pointing out that we caught it a few years ago.
Yeah, we did.
On camera. So
we caught it a few times, I think.
I thought so, yeah.
But I don't know if we saved a video each time, but
I know we did at least once.
I still have its tail number listed in my flight radar as one of my planes to track. I can't bring myself to delete it.
I know. I feel the same way about, Bob's stabilizer and WA Stanier. I can't bring myself to delete them from, our mod backend combos.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been fact checked. Thank you, Tom.
There you go. And I put the link to, our sighting of it, or one of them anyway, in the chat there, so you can either watch that now or save it for later and go back and watch it later. But yeah, it's kind of cool that we were able to catch it. Sounds like I'm getting some information. Sounds like the goose will not be coming out today, unfortunately.
Aw.
So we'll see who else we catch.
We may not get the duck, but we got a bunch of geese. I mean, we may not get the... See, I blew it. We may not get the...
You had one
geese,
chance, Chad.
We got a bunch of ducks, yes.
Here's the Alaska Airmen's Association. It's a local club, I guess you'd say. They do all kinds of things here in the area.
People have asked in the past about the little sheds that are near the water. There's quite a few of them. And there are a couple associated with businesses, which are maybe a little bit larger. But the vast majority of them are set up by, by the people who rent the slips for the planes and just use it for personal storage. And some of them are pretty utilitarian, but some of them, the people have actually spent some time kind of making them look nice and stuff like that. What are they used for? Well, primarily things like, tools, extra oil, things like that. But I think some of them may have been fixed up a little bit more than that. I don't know. To maybe have a place to hang out in there, or a fridge or something like that. I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to walk through that area sometime and see if there's any people hanging out there with their planes.
Yeah, maybe one of these years we'll all fly up there together and do this show live from Anchorage. we can
That'd be fun.
con one of the owners into showing us around their little shed on the show too.
Yeah, unfortunately, if we all go up there, we won't we won't have as much capability to operate the cameras.
But we'll have more in person, that's for sure.
You know, at times, I think these little sheds, of course, when I'm zoomed in, you can see they're just sheds.
Yeah.
At times when the cam is just kind of whipping by there and stuff, showing the planes, there's actually a number of people have asked in the past, so are those houses? You know, kind of looked like a little village there, and sometimes it does. But no, those are just small buildings used for storage. But yeah, it is funny. It kind of creates the appearance of a well, it looks like a fishing village or something sometimes.
Yeah. It's kind of their own little village in a sense, though, all at the same time.
Is that Wildlife One over there?
Maybe. Looks like an F-150. I think they drive Dodges, but who knows?
Yeah, I may not be. I may be mistaken.
Off-Road is asking if you'd be willing to show Andrew A's shed.
Sure.
So for those who may not know, Andrew A is a local resident and a frequent flyer of this chat over on our normal live feed. Even as Kathy just put in the chat, there's the link to that. You can visit anytime. It's there 24/7, 365. But this same camera feed is going all the time, just without our smiling faces along the side. But there's a live chat there that you can catch us in and interact with one another there as well. And over here is one of our chatters' sheds and Slip.
And his plane is not currently there, but if you use your imagination, you can see there's both a place for a plane to be in the water, as well as back behind that, a place that it can be parked, for example, in the winter on land.
It's interesting. Dixie May here says, beautiful aircraft, shame I'm afraid of heights and water. I can agree with you about heights. I'm not a fan of heights at all.
Yet you fly.
Flying. Yes, I do. Without a problem, I fly.
You know, I really don't know that there's that much of a correlation with most people anyway, as far as fear of heights and flying. They seem to be two totally different things. Maybe because you're enclosed in the plane or whatever. Yeah. But I've known a number of pilots who are afraid of heights, and it doesn't even enter into the equation when they're as far as flying in a small plane.
I actually just listened to a podcast on this very thing from the BBC, and it really has to deal with one, enclosement, and what you're looking at. There was a rock climber who had a terrible fear of heights, but because he stared at the wall the whole time, he had no fear. He didn't have vertigo. And you see it like at the top of the, of tall buildings, all the, the touristy stuff like the Seattle Needle. Very fewer people have that reaction because they feel like because it's not open air. It doesn't trigger.
Whereas when they're up on a ladder or on their roof or something, that's
a different
when
experience.
Yeah, I could not imagine. When I visited the Grand Canyon, I wouldn't go near the edge, not even a little bit.
Nope. Nope.
Okay, now what we may have going on here, I think I remember from previous years, is there was at least some kind of demonstration of some of the rescue capabilities of the fire and rescue department, and that may be what's going on here, in which case they could probably do it today under today's conditions. So
Bless you, Jed.
we will see what happens. Hopefully
Yeah.
my mute worked successfully on that last cough there.
It did. I still have my eardrums.
You were okay, you were watching me. Okay. Got it.
Yes.
Yes, I was smart enough to
Pausing
reach
for a
the
photo
mute.
op. Tell him to just turn around and we've got a photo op for him over here.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what's going on here, but it's kind of looking like they're thinking of putting that in the water.
Be kind of fun. There we go. We got the weather coming up. I see we're pulling that up. 57 degrees. Put it up here on the screen. 57 degrees. Winds at 4 miles an hour from the north-northwest. And the humidity is 95% because it's actually raining.
A bit of trivia: when it's raining, the humidity is not always 100%.
It's true. Got the police car now. Are they in the West Ramp boat shed as well, Judd?
Oh, well, let me take a look over there and see if there's
Looks
any
like
activity.
maybe somebody walked over there.
Well, that would
They've
make
got
sense.
They've got a shed here. This green shed is got some emergency boats in it. There you go. That's where they're hiding on us. Kathy, can you have someone install a little arm next to the camera that pops out and waves? So days like this, we can just have it pop out and wave, and they know we're watching them.
We definitely need to get in some Easter eggs in the field of view.
That would be fun.
Mm-hmm. In Ashland, for the longest time, we had the stop sign in the center of town that figures fairly prominently, and somebody had slapped under that hammer time, and finally got removed. And so I'm determined to put up "in the name of love" under stop for our next day.
There you go.
I used to sometimes joke in the StreamTime Live early days, we actually had goat cameras, and I used to joke that we needed a little popcorn cannon so that we could shoot out a little popped kernel of popcorn at the goats so that they could eat it. I mean, not intended to hurt them at all, but just kind of, they'd realize, oh, some food.
A treat dispensary. There you go. 3 more coming in. 747s are a popular site, a frequent site even, here in Anchorage. We said a little while ago that Ted Stevens Anchorage International, where actually this rescue equipment is based, is, aside from obviously the stuff that's in this west boat ramp shed there, but all the rest of it is based over at the International Airport, and it is the third busiest cargo hub in the world.
And here's a little bit of trivia. There was one day in history, during the start of the pandemic, when Anchorage International Airport was the busiest airport in the world. And that was driven by the freight, which was still flying.
Interesting.
And
because
pretty much the
everything
whole
else was
rest
shut down.
Yeah, pretty much everything else was shut down. So I think that only lasted a day or two, but that was interesting.
It's still fine bragging rights in my book.
That's right.
Yeah, and we were we were on the cam that day. I'm pretty sure.
I remember one of the earliest things I recall about the COVID-19 outbreak was one day we were watching on the Lake Hood camera here as I believe one of the first planes arriving out of country came back to Anchorage. They had a quarantine. They had part of the terminal quarantined off, and they allowed everybody to pass through that section. I want to say they flew them to a military base in California someplace after being here in Anchorage.
Yes, they landed at Ontario.
Ah, the one you were mentioning earlier.
I think they were going to land at Riverside or March Air Base or something. They changed a couple times where they were going to land, but I think they ended up at Ontario, unless that was one of the ones that got changed. But yeah. In Ontario, California, I should clarify.
Yes. Let's see here. Take a look at radar and see what we've got going on out here.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that rescue crew if we can. And hopefully we'll catch them if they actually launch.
Diane, I don't know if you're still on. I didn't have a chance to throw this up there earlier, but go rain. That's for you, Judd.
Oh. Yes, kind of ironic, I guess. Well, I remember there was an ice skating rink
over the west water lane right now, Judd.
What's that?
It looks like we have one coming over the west water lane right now, November 7:50 p.m. Oh yes, there you go. Skywagon inbound for the lake.
Oh, okay, I didn't see it. Is it still coming, or did it already land?
According to flight radar, he might have landed on Spinard.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
turned off
Okay.
just up there past the viewing area.
Yeah, I zoomed in on my flight radar. I see what's going on now. Thanks for trying to warn me.
Yes.
Wasn't fast enough.
That's okay. Just having a look around to see if we've got any of the others maybe headed in just yet. All right, let's see. I'll put this back up there one more time. For those who maybe aren't aware, today is the Alaska Aviation Museum's Flyby event, Flyby Festival. They host this event to help support the museum and things that they're doing there locally, as well as to raise awareness of things that they're doing and programs they have going on and events that they put on for the community. So one of our big pushes today is to help reinforce those efforts and let everybody know that they can donate and support the museum if you either follow that link there in the bottom left corner or go to the QR code with your mobile device in the bottom right corner by scanning that. You can go to the museum's website and donate. If you caught the video earlier, you can donate to a specific project. You just note there on the donation tab when you're filling it out that you want to donate to a specific project, whether it be the P40 or the renovation of Hangar 2 or whatever you might be interested in. Or you can just make a general donation to support the museum itself. And this is kind of some of the things that we were hoping to see today. I'm not sure how much of it we'll get to see because of the weather. But just in case we don't, these are things that fly in and out of Anchorage International quite a bit and through this area that we get to see every so often. And hopefully some aircraft that we'd get to see next year potentially. But we're here live from Lake Hood, as we said a little while ago as well. This camera runs 24/7, 365, so you can always come on to YouTube and find the link to view it and keep up with what's happening, chat along with us like you are here now today, and maybe learn a little something then too. Seems like every time we come on here, we learn a little something new.
Looks like the weather is continuing to improve, or at least not get any worse again. We do have a plane. We do have a plane coming in now for the lake.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't heard them. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just going to answer Les's question. Obviously, they decided not to fly because of the weather today. So I think the answer to your question is probably no.
Yeah. They do. So the Goose is used primarily for training, and they do some sightseeing tours as well with it. So it's my impression that if they don't have to fly, they're not gonna. So unless there's a scenario in which they need to fly in a given condition, they'll do it. But otherwise, if they have the option, like this, for example, where they don't have to come to the flyby, and there's a lot of people that aren't gonna, then they probably won't.
The plane that's headed this way coming in is actually a Beaver, so those are always fun to watch. That's the large radial engine airplane, of which there's quite a few of them on the lake, but they're kind of fun to watch. So hopefully it'll continue on in.
Yeah, so there's a little view of flight radar showing plane that we're talking about, November 741 RS, and they're headed in for the lake. Hopefully we'll get to see them. We've had a few coming in so far that have had to turn back because of the weather got too bad right at the edge. But we'll see. Grandma Cindy, yes, this will be available to watch later on as well. So you'll be able to come back and see everything that you missed. From Wisconsin in a week, yes. The EAA. Maybe someday we'll be able to do something with that. That would be so much fun to broadcast that. That's on our bucket list. We'll see if we get there, but it's on our bucket list. So, which raises.
And
Go ahead.
it's not lack of desire or ability. Well, it is ability to a certain extent. It's so crowded. Having a dedicated internet source is critical for us to be able to broadcast through, 1,000 cell phones. But
right.
we're trying to work it out.
Working on it. If you know of a good place for a camera, whether Wisconsin and Oshkosh or somewhere else, feel free to drop an email to sales@StreamTime Live, and we would love to know if you have a name of someone that we could reach out to or speak to directly about that. We would love to have that information too. a warm introduction goes a long way.
Yep.
We're just doing a quick speed dry on the camera to try and help shake off some of the water droplets. We've got our beaver coming in still. And you just heard him in the background on the radio there, talking to ATC. Take a peek and see if we can find him, huh? Showing an elevation, or an altitude, I'm sorry, at 400 feet. There he is. It's amazing how they just kind of pop into view like that after just kind of out of nowhere, it seems like.
Now this is an interesting one because it's amphibious. That means it's got the wheels in addition to the floats.
Right. So this one would not need the half trucks that we were looking at, or the half cars for that matter. Woo. You can see the wheels right on the front edge of his floats. And that's what Judd is referring to there, where he can flip those down mechanically, and they'll pop out in the water, and he can taxi up one of the ramps out of the lake.
And if we get real lucky, we'll see it going up out of the water. That's always fun to watch, but
yes,
it doesn't look like he's necessarily heading that way, so that probably won't be the case here. Did
he not get the memo that it was a flyby?
Come on, man.
That's right. Could have at least asked for a long landing. But that's a good sign. Another plane coming in and landing is a good sign.
Yeah, one not attached to the event. It may be. I'm not sure how much it is.
Yeah, well, then it might be a good thing to be a truck provider for like.
That's right.
Somehow I was thinking I heard over $100, but I can't be certain of that.
Yeah, I suppose it could depend on the provider as well.
Right.
Maybe we should take a peek at our emergency responders over there and see if they're up to anything just yet.
That sounds like an excellent idea. We got an available spot. Well, doesn't look like we've missed too much.
Busy day.
The Tower Beaver 741 Romeo Sierra. You have time for a question, sir?
Beaver 741 Romeo Sierra, go ahead.
Yes, there's a note about, I think it's between 3 and 4 local this afternoon. Kind of heavy aircraft and flyby. What's that about?
For the air show at the Alaska Museum.
Oh, very nice. Is the weather going to put a damper on it, or are they still planning on moving ahead with that?
I'm not sure. I'd say right now it's probably 50-50.
Very good, thank you. Well, that, and when it says to expect delays getting out, is that everything pretty much going to be shut down for that 1 hour window, or is it just kind of hit or miss based on what's going on in the air at the moment?
I'll stand by. I'll look it up. I have it right here.
Interesting.
Romeo Sierra. Currently, there's no TFR for the airspace being closed, so if you need to leave, it'll be traffic permitting for them to even come in.
Thank you, sir. Not too late.
Ah, there's another half truck for you. Except this one looks more like half ambulance.
Yeah.
Looks more like, oh.
And why do they all look like they've been built before like 1990?
They probably were.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to take a new pickup and hack it up and do this.
Although the Russ one is a newer one. It's a mid-2000s.
Well, maybe they kind of have a rep to.
That's true.
But
I'm brand.
I'm thinking like at the junkyards in the Anchorage area, pickup trucks that have been totaled in the rear end that are four-wheel drive probably go for a premium. I mean, compared to what they would somewhere else.
Look at that old Ford. I wonder if anybody is eyeballing it for repurposing.
Right. That one's even a crew cab, so they could take everybody with them in that one.
Yeah, I wonder how the weight distribution. It'd be a little bit more weight on the back, so you'd have to add more weight on the front, maybe.
My guess is 80s on that Ford. What do you think?
Oh, on the year?
Yeah.
I think it's 80s, yeah.
Anybody in chat have a guess? Who knows their Fords?
I know our Chevys. Chevys is our brand, so we know those ones better. Is there? Okay, we got a few questions here.
Excellent.
So Tom is asking, is the ATC from Ted Stevens? This ATC that we're listening to is actually the Lake Hood feed. And the, let's see, where'd the other one go?
Yeah, that way if we hear radio traffic, we'll know that we need to pay attention.
Right. Judd, you've got a question here from Off-Road. Is there a story of the plane at the half fan, a pilot stream or something?
Well, there is. I'm not sure how much of it I can tell. But let's go over there. Now, if you look at this plane, at casual first look, it may appear to be a Beaver. It's not. It's actually a plane called a Cessna 195. The Cessna 195, I'm not sure how long it was produced, but basically Cessna created that plane to appeal to business travelers, who would have their own plane, because prior to that, planes were just, amusements, kind of toys of rich people or whatever. This one was actually designed to be used for business purposes. They didn't become that popular because at about the same time, Beechcraft introduced the Bonanza, which ended up being, much more economical, etc. So there aren't a whole lot of Cessna 195s there. Now, I think what Off-Road was getting at is this particular plane, this exact plane, was used in a night photograph with, I think, the Aurora Borealis in the background. Huh. That was just a beautiful photograph, and And in fact, one of the chatters has a copy of that photograph, and that's how it came up. Interesting thing is, when that story was mentioned to me, I said, "Hey, I think I know what that plane is and where it is," and I was able to track it down for that chatter to let them know where it was, and then they actually came to check it out.
Nice. So the 195, the 190, and the 195 business liner, according to Wikipedia, were manufactured between 1947 and 1954.
Okay, thanks.
The 195 was also used by the United States Air Force, United States Army, and Army National Guard as light transport and utility aircraft. So there you go.
I'm going to see if I can find something on the web related to that plane. Okay, I'm going to pop up a link.
Let's do it. What you got?
Now, that link I popped up and the image that came up with it, I believe that was taken from right over by the hotel down at the other end, which I can never remember the name of because it's changed names. But,
the Lakefront Hotel?
Lakefront, yes. It used to be called the Millennium, and even though it was never the Millennium when this cam existed, I always think of Millennium. But yeah, the Lakefront. So this was taken from down near there.
It's a beautiful picture.
And gosh, it looks like if you really like it, you can also go to that link and probably buy one yourself if you'd like. But no, it is a very, very cool photo.
That's true. You can buy it in all kinds of different sizes. Very cool. I was just going to ask how these guys are doing here. Jed, we've got a question for you here on screen. Love your background. When did you become an ATC?
You know, I saw that and I was going to comment. Maybe there is a misunderstanding. I am not an air traffic controller, nor have I ever been. I'm trying to think of what I might have said, which might have sounded like that. But no, I am an instrument-rated pilot.
Your background.
I am pardon me?
Your background. You're in your control tower.
Oh, gotcha. Yes. No, that's all the magic of Hollywood.
There you go. That's right.
Dad likes to play with his toys.
Yes. Gotcha. Okay.
There you go.
Now, I am an instrument-rated pilot, which, that's, as I was talking about before, that is what would allow me to fly in clouds and then land using instrument landing systems and stuff like that. Though I'm not really current, so I'd have to do some flying before I could do it again. But
yeah.
There used to be a computer simulation for doing air traffic control. I actually was obsessing on that for a while at one time. Gosh, that might have been 15 years or so ago.
Huh. Spike says, men never grow up, our toys just cost more. That is very true.
I think the ducks are disappearing.
They're like, the rain's too bad, I'm gone.
You know, I often kind of wonder, sometimes it seems like when you aim the camera at animals, they disappear or fly away or whatever. And honestly, that sounds like a total joke, but I think that there's a technical reason why the camera could actually chase birds away when you aim it at them. But that's because of the laser focusing systems that the cameras have. And I don't know what wavelength that's at and what wavelength birds and other animals can see. But
yeah,
those guys are holding their breath for a long time, though.
Yeah, they are.
So the flyby has come to this.
It has. The flyby consists of duck watching.
Yeah, except the ducks aren't even flying.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that's true. The ducks are just floating.
Yeah, live outdoor events. That's always it's always subject to the weather. Of course, it's unfortunate for our coverage of the flyby event, but obviously the museum has a lot more at stake here.
Right, right. I'm happy to see that some folks still came out locally.
Yeah, hopefully they're enjoying themselves, and
Right.
obviously not as much as they were probably hoping to, but
right. A few more people here than were here the last time we looked over this way. Alaskans are tough. That's right. When you all have mosquitoes the size of eagles, you got to be tough. Temps are in the 50s, Robin. See, they're wearing coats. Yes, it is not 100. Last we saw it was around 55 and rainy. So the coats are partly because of the rain. So there we go. Here's the weather for you. 57 degrees, 14 degrees Celsius. The wind is from the northwest at 5 miles an hour. The current humidity is 92%. It looks a little brighter, like maybe some of that low ceiling has cleared up, but we're getting some word that many of the planes that were scheduled are not going to be flying today. Most of them actually are not going to be flying. So we've caught a few, but not too many others are going to be coming, it looks like.
Well, with that, I'm going to say my goodbyes. Today is my youngest birthday, so she's demanding ribs and kale. So,
We're all on our way, Kathy. Just send us the address.
Yeah, over here on the East Coast, it's almost 5, so I gotta get in gear if we're not gonna unless we want to eat at 10 p.m. Well, thank you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you to all the viewers from me. It was great hanging out with you guys this afternoon, even if it wasn't everything that we wanted.
That's right. It was a fun day. Well, all, thank you for tuning in. We've enjoyed being around with you and seeing the sites that we have and the raindrops that we've caught. But we'll probably just sign off here. You can catch the Lake Hood stream on our channel and watch the rest of the day there and see what else may come through. But it's not looking like there will be much coming through today. So, but thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for tuning in and showing your support for the museum. That's why we're here today, is to support them and make a big deal about them and help them know that they have a fan base around the world even that appreciates what they're doing and wants to see them continue doing that. So again, I'll say it one more time. If you would like to support them financially and help them continue to do what they do every day, consider supporting them. And you can go to their website with this information, or you can Google their website as well and make a donation to them. You can make a donation to a specific project, or you can just donate to the museum in general and help them continue on in their efforts. But as Jim posted here, here's the main link to our normal YouTube feed. You can go there and check in with everyone there and keep chatting and keep enjoying the sights and sounds of Lake Hood. But thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes, let me find the link and I will post that for you. Just 1 second here. And there's the link for you. If you would like to donate to them, you can go to that link right there in chat. Click that, and there is a button right below where it says custom amount. You can say write us a comment if you want to make a donation to a specific thing, like the P40 that we showed in the video, or whatever you would like. You can do that specifically. But it's been being with you all. Yes. LML needs
support the museum, because without the museum we couldn't do this. So
that's right.
We love them.
We wouldn't have a home for a camera.
Exactly.
For sure. Well, you all take care, and we'll see you all again hopefully soon. See y'all.
Bye.